Did you have to postpone anything major due to this virus? Juan, did you have to postpone anything?
Well, speeches, obviously, and no one's having big meetings, Greg. So I think that's one thing. And then, it's springtime. I didn't have a birthday party unless thanks to you guys, I had one here. But so, yeah, some things got postponed.
Yeah. Dana, how about you? What did you postpone? A book club meeting?
No, still had those, but there was a long weekend trip that we had planned with our friends down in the Caribbean, and so that got pushed off till next year, hopefully.
All right, Katie, what did you have to postpone? We're all suffering.
I had to postpone. We're all suffering.
Yeah,
I had to postpone an Arizona Desert Bighorn Sheep Society conservation project in Arizona, which I was really bummed about because you get to use power tools and shovels and camp out in the desert and to have a bonfire. So hopefully I'll get to one of those in the fall.
Jesse?
I had to postpone all my elective surgeries, like my nose job, my calf implants, my hair plugs, all that kind of stuff.
You know what? I never would have noticed. But the funny thing, I have like a wart on the bottom of my foot. I'll just leave it at that. Or plantar.
Elective surgeries need to come back.
Yeah, it's plantar, whatever you call it, plantar, whatever. It's pain.
Fasciitis.
Yeah. Yes, it's driving me crazy.
Oh, Lord.
I'm truly, really suffering. Okay. What is the one experience in your childhood that will always be first in your memory? Dana, I'm going to you first, and I imagine it has to do with some kind of animal.
Yeah, I actually think, it's sometimes hard to remember if you're remembering a photograph or remembering the actual thing.
Exactly.
I did. My grandfather on my dad's side on the ranch, he got me a pony named Sally, and I know that I grew up loving this horse, and I feel like I remember that, but I think it might have been just from the photograph.
A pony named Sally. That's like a Johnny Cash song that was never written. Jesse? What's your first experience in childhood that you remember?
Well, we were at the Barnum and Bailey Circus, and my parents just handed me over to a bunch of clowns. And they took me to the basement of the Spectrum in Philadelphia, and they lined me up with a bunch of other children. And then they brought me out in front of like 30,000 people and hoisted me up on an elephant. And they rode this elephant around and around in front of all these fans. I was terrified. I missed my family. I didn't know what was going on, and now I'm terrified of clowns.
Are you sure that wasn't a dream you had as a child?
That was great.
No, that was true. That was true.
That's like out of like the 90s, like satanic abuse stories you hear about. Katie?
Yeah.
The clowns?
Oh, man, I have a traumatic one.
Yes.
My son is bad as clowns in the basement, but I won a goldfish at the fair. And you know when you win a goldfish when you're a kid and your parents are like, oh, now we have to take care of this stupid goldfish?
Yep.
And my brother poured all of the food into the goldfish bowl, and I brought it to my parents like, do something, it's going to eat itself and die. And they're like, oh, we know. We'll take it to the pond. It's going to be set free and live a life in the pond. And then later, like 10 years later, I'm like, you could have just put it in a different bowl. But you got rid of it.
Too easy. Juan, what's you're going back a ways, Juan. Memory.
Well, I think I remember being on a school bus, and I was the last kid to be let off in a snowstorm, and the bus driver gave me hot chocolate, and I just threw it right up. I just couldn't handle a hot chocolate at that moment. It was embarrassing, Greg.
No. I just remember it. I remember this. It was really, really, really dark, and all of a sudden it got very, very bright, and these hands grabbed my head. Anyway, one more thing up next.
Some missing. I'm wishing my days away.
It is, Lou, and it's happening in other states, mainly run by Democrat governors. Right now you have in Kansas 2 Baptist pastors suing the governor in the state of Kansas because she's allowing other groups to meet in more than groups of 10, giving them exemptions, airports, malls, all sorts of things, but infringing upon the rights of Christians. And I just got off a conference call with President Trump and faith leaders, and thank God, and I mean that literally, he and his Department of Justice are going after states that are discriminating against churches and providing just so-called essential services. And I'm glad we've got a president who is championing religious liberty during this time.
Well, you were in the president's consultation with religious leaders on the reopening of churches today. Give us what you see as the most important part of that process.
Well, we had a wonderful phone call about an hour or so ago, and it included leaders from every faith group in America. And Lou, everybody was on the same page with the president, who wants to open houses of worship as soon as it is safe. Not 1 minute before, not 1 minute afterwards. And the president understands that both work and worship are essential in American life, and we're all grateful for that. And you know, the latest statistic says that 49% of Americans are suffering from some type of mental health issue right now because of the Wuhan virus problems that are being caused right now. Well, reminding ourselves in worship that there is a God who is in control and loves us is a great antidote to that anxiety that many Americans are feeling. The president understands that, and that's why I often say on your show, Lou, this is the most faith-friendly president in the history of the United States of America.
He has been extraordinary. He's done precisely what he said he would do as a candidate, which is restore the church and faith to the public square. Pastor Robert Jeffress, always good to see you. Thanks for being with us. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Thank you.